1958, a year etched into American history. But for collectors, it's not just a date. It's a potential treasure waiting quietly in circulation. Imagine holding a coin that, in certain verified instances, has sparked serious collector attention and, for some, life-changing sale results. Today, we're diving into the 1958 D Lincoln penny, what makes it fascinating, and why even everyday coin holders might want to take a closer look. The 1958 Lincoln cent was minted in Denver, marked with that iconic D just below the date. This period in U.S. coinage was one of transition and refinement, with pennies struck primarily from a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The coin's design is familiar, Lincoln's profile on the obverse, wheat ears on the reverse. But the details, subtle as they may seem, can make a significant difference in collector interest. Here's where many people get confused. Most 1958 D pennies you encounter are ordinary circulated examples, worth only a few cents. Yet, certain uncirculated or well-preserved coins, particularly those with sharp detail, full mint luster, and no post-production damage, quietly attract serious attention. Collectors often scrutinize the strike quality, the sharpness of Lincoln's beard, and even the spacing of the D relative to the date. These small distinctions can completely change interest and market value. During this era, a handful of varieties and minting anomalies emerged. While rare double-die pennies are less common in 1958, subtle die cracks or planchet variations exist, and these are the details collectors quietly watch. Coins showing such minor, yet verified, differences have been known to command higher prices at auction or in private sales. It's not about the coins sitting in jars for decades. It's about identifying those select examples with true hidden financial potential. Let's talk value ranges. A circulated 1958 D penny in typical condition usually fetches only a few cents. But once you reach uncirculated grades, particularly certified MS-63 or higher, market value can jump into double or even triple digits. And in exceptional cases, coins with flawless surfaces and perfect strikes have generated quietly impressive results, sometimes surprising their owners. This difference can completely change interest. What looks ordinary to most is extraordinary to the right collector. This is where many people make mistakes. Cleaning a coin, attempting to polish it, or mishandling it can drastically reduce its value. Even minor scratches from careless storage can transform a potentially rare penny into something ordinary. Patience, careful handling, and knowing what to look for are far more important than quick flips. Some sellers, after years of leaving coins untouched, discover unexpected income, a quiet wealth discovery that rewards those who prepared their coins properly. Collectors also focus on provenance. Verified examples, those with professional grading or a well-documented history, tend to command higher attention. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch: the exact placement and clarity of the D mint mark, along with the overall strike quality. Coins that display perfect alignment and deep relief attract more bids in auction settings. Even within certified categories, market trends fluctuate. Watching these trends, knowing what varieties are sought after, and understanding the subtle signs of high-quality examples is what separates casual owners from dedicated collectors. Life-changing sale results for select examples aren't about chance. They're about knowledge and timing. If you happen to have a 1958 D penny in your collection, take the time to inspect it carefully. Look for full mint luster, sharp detail in Lincoln's features, and the quality of the mint mark. Small differences, almost invisible to an untrained eye, can dramatically influence market interest. Here's where many people get confused. Two pennies from the same year and mint can sit side by side, yet one may be worth hundreds while the other remains a basic copper coin. Before you consider selling, consider getting a professional grading opinion. Certification not only confirms authenticity but also can unlock hidden financial potential. And remember, quick sales aren't necessary. Patience, knowledge, and careful observation often reveal opportunities that casual holders overlook. Finally, take a moment to check your own pennies. Even if you're not actively buying or selling, understanding your coins opens doors to hidden value you may have held for decades. And for those who love learning more about Lincoln cents, watching another video on rare and collectible pennies could provide insight into additional quiet wealth discoveries. Knowledge, patience, and attention to detail matter far more than speed. The 1958 D. Lincoln penny isn't just a coin. It's a window into history, craftsmanship, and occasionally, life-changing collector interest. Have you ever held a coin in your hand and wondered if it could quietly hold the potential for life-changing value? Today, we're diving into the 1960 D. Lincoln penny, a coin that has quietly fascinated collectors for decades. Some verified examples of this coin have sold for surprisingly high prices, and understanding why could completely change how you look at the pennies in your collection. 1960 was a transitional year in American coinage. The Lincoln cent had been in circulation for nearly half a century, but small differences in mint marks, composition, and condition made certain coins stand out to collectors. The 1960 D penny, minted in Denver, is one of those examples that can capture attention not just for its age, but for subtle characteristics that set it apart from the millions that pass through everyday hands. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. The D mint mark itself is small, almost delicate, but it tells a story about production and rarity. Some 1960 D pennies are relatively common, circulating for decades in change. Others, often tucked away in collections or forgotten in jars, have maintained exceptional surfaces, showing crisp details and lustrous finishes that can attract serious buyer interest. This is where many people get confused. While most 1960 D pennies are familiar to collectors, only certain examples meet the criteria that elevate their value. Condition matters far more than date alone. A penny that looks ordinary at first glance can, under closer inspection, reveal perfectly preserved relief, clear mint marks, and minimal wear, traits that hint at hidden financial potential. Collectors also pay attention to varieties. In 1960, the Denver Mint produced a few notable anomalies. Small variations in strike depth, minor doubling, or die differences can completely change interest. Some coins may appear mundane but, under magnification, reveal features that serious collectors quietly track. These subtle characteristics are exactly why patient sellers sometimes discover unexpected income years after acquiring a coin. When it comes to value, there's a wide spectrum. Circulated examples of the 1960 D penny are typically modest, often a few dollars at most. But high-grade, certified coins can reach hundreds of dollars, even more in rare circumstances. Life-changing sale results for select examples are not the norm, but they do happen when condition, rarity, and collector demand align perfectly. This difference can completely change interest. A coin that spent decades in a pocket or coin roll may look ordinary, but a careful assessment could reveal a gem that appeals to collectors looking for pristine examples. Mistakes that reduce value are common scratches, improper cleaning, or overlooking subtle die variations. Each of these can quietly strip away potential. Awareness and patience, however, can make all the difference. Here's another detail collectors quietly watch: luster and strike quality. Even small shifts in how the metal flows during minting can affect how light reflects off the coin's surface. A penny with bold, sharp details and natural shine often stands out in the market. It's these coins that hint at hidden financial potential, quietly waiting for someone who recognizes their worth. Many collectors also focus on provenance. Coins that remained untouched since the 1960s, preserved in albums or rolls, carry a story that appeals to buyers. This story isn't just historical. It can influence market perception and value. Understanding these nuances is why some individuals discover quiet wealth in coins they've owned for decades. So what should you do if you have a 1960 D Lincoln penny? First, carefully examine it under proper lighting, checking for wear, mint mark clarity, and any unusual characteristics. Avoid quick assumptions about worth. The difference between a common coin and a high-value example can be surprisingly subtle. Knowledge, patience, and attention to detail matter far more than speed. If you're curious to learn more, explore other videos about Lincoln pennies with different mint marks and rare varieties. Each coin has its own story, and understanding them can deepen your appreciation for history and potential. Even small discoveries can lead to life-changing results for select examples. Remember, the 1960 D Lincoln penny is more than a piece of copper. It's a glimpse into a moment in American history, a subtle puzzle for collectors, and in rare cases, a quiet financial opportunity. Take the time to look closely at your own pennies. one could surprise you. And if this peek into the 1960 penny sparked your curiosity, don't stop here. Keep exploring, keep learning, and let patience guide your coin journey. Because in the world of rare pennies, knowledge and careful observation always matter more than speed. Some coins quietly hold stories and value that few people ever imagine. The 1962 Lincoln penny with a D mint mark is one of those coins. Over the years, verified examples of this coin have occasionally surfaced in the market for prices that catch collectors off guard. While not every coin reaches extraordinary figures, select examples have shown surprising financial potential, sparking curiosity among collectors and everyday coin owners alike. To understand why this coin still attracts attention, we need to look back at its origin. In 1962, the United States was in the midst of a dynamic period. The Lincoln penny, already a familiar piece in every pocket, had been in circulation for decades. Yet, coins from this year carried subtle differences, including mint marks that indicate where they were struck. The D mint mark, representing Denver, distinguishes these pennies from their Philadelphia counterparts, which had no mark at all. This is where many people get confused. Not all 1962 D pennies are equally valuable. While millions were minted, the condition, strike quality, and even minor variations play a role in determining interest. Collectors are particularly watchful for coins with strong luster, sharp details on Lincoln's profile, and well-centered designs. Even small imperfections can dramatically influence the collectible market. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch: the subtle differences in the copper composition. Most 1962 pennies were composed of 95% copper, yet circulation, wear, and storage conditions can create variations that appeal to specialists. A coin that appears ordinary at first glance may reveal hidden appeal under careful inspection, potentially leading to life-changing sale results for select examples. The market for 1962 D pennies ranges widely. Common circulated examples often sell for a few cents above face value, while uncirculated or certified coins can reach hundreds, depending on condition and grading. High-grade certified coins, especially those graded by respected services, tend to draw serious attention from collectors who understand the coin's historical context. This difference can completely change interest and demand, even decades after the coin was minted. Collectors also focus on mistakes owners often make. Many penny holders overlook proper storage, allowing environmental damage or scratches to diminish value. Others may fail to recognize varieties or subtle die differences that make a coin especially desirable. Patience and attention to detail often separate ordinary coins from those that later achieve quiet wealth discovery. Another point worth noting is market timing. Some sellers see unexpected income when coins surface in auctions or specialized sales. While the coin itself doesn't change, the context and buyer demand can create sudden spikes in value. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch: the rare high-grade examples from 1962 D pennies tend to move most during peak collector interest periods. Understanding these trends can enhance your appreciation of what's truly collectible. Why do collectors still seek out this specific date? Beyond the obvious mint mark, the 1962 D penny represents a moment in American coinage history. It's part of the transition period before major changes in penny design and composition occurred later in the decade. For collectors, having a coin from this year, especially one in exceptional condition, can complete sets and offer a tangible connection to history. This is where many people get confused. Value isn't just about rarity. It's about condition, provenance, and market perception. A penny that seems ordinary in your drawer may hold hidden financial potential simply because it meets criteria collectors quietly track. Learning to recognize these factors is what separates casual holders from those who see life-changing sale results. If you own a 1962 D penny, it's worth examining carefully. Look for sharp details on Lincoln's bust, clear and well-centered mint marks, and minimal surface imperfections. Certified coins, though more costly to obtain, provide peace of mind for buyers and can significantly impact value. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch: even minor differences in luster or strike depth can sway interest among dedicated collectors. In the end, the story of the 1962 D Lincoln penny isn't about instant wealth. It's about knowledge, patience, and the ability to spot hidden potential. Carefully checking your pennies and understanding what makes certain examples exceptional can open doors to quiet wealth discovery. Life-changing sale results have happened for select coins, and while these cases are rare, they demonstrate the hidden financial potential that exists within everyday objects. Take a moment to examine your collection. You might be holding a piece of history that has quietly appreciated over decades. For those curious about related coins and their stories, there's plenty more to explore. Watching other videos on rare pennies can provide insight into how these small pieces of copper became prized collectibles. Remember, patience and knowledge always outweigh speed when it comes to uncovering the real value in coins. You might be holding a coin in your hand right now that has quietly changed lives. A coin that, in rare verified cases, has fetched prices well beyond what most collectors would expect. Today, we're talking about the 1964 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a piece that's simple at first glance, yet full of hidden financial potential for those who know exactly what to look for. At first, a 1964 penny might seem ordinary. After all, millions were produced that year. But among these familiar coins, certain examples can spark excitement, and in the right hands, lead to life-changing sale results. What separates the common from the rare? Why do collectors still pay close attention to this particular date? Let's dive in. The year 1964 was a turning point in American coinage. This penny was minted during a period of significant change. In fact, it's the last year that the Lincoln cent was struck in nearly pure copper before the shift to copper-nickel compositions. That alone gives the 1964 penny a certain historical significance. But there's a nuance that few casual owners notice, and this is where many people get confused. Not every 1964 penny carries a mint mark. Some bear the familiar D for Denver, some the S for San Francisco, and some, remarkably, have no mark at all. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Coins with no mint mark are often assumed to be less interesting. In reality, the no mint mark 1964 penny can be exactly what turns an ordinary coin into a hidden financial opportunity. But there are specifics. True high-value examples are typically uncirculated, show exceptional luster, and are free from damage. Even a minor scratch or heavy wear can dramatically reduce interest. This difference can completely change collector focus. For example, a circulated 1964 penny might be worth only a few cents above face value, while certified high-grade examples have been known to achieve hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars in niche markets. That's the quiet wealth discovery that keeps seasoned collectors scanning their drawers and coin rolls. Let's talk composition. The 1964 pennies were struck in 95% copper and 5% zinc. That gives them a distinct weight and color that differentiates them from the post-1982 zinc-heavy cents. Many first-time sellers overlook this when trying to determine authenticity. Misidentifying a post-1982 penny as a pre-1965 copper coin is a common mistake that reduces potential value. Another key point: condition and certification matter far more than quantity. Two 1964 no-mint mark pennies may look nearly identical to the untrained eye, but in the collector world, even slight differences in strike, luster, and surface preservation can lead to life-changing sale results for select examples. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. The sharpness of Lincoln's features, the clarity of the date, and the smoothness of the fields can make all the difference in grading. Patience often pays off. Many coin owners have stored their pennies in jars or drawers for decades, unaware that their coins could be hiding financial potential. By carefully examining and, when appropriate, submitting coins for professional grading, these individuals sometimes discover unexpected income. This is where many people get confused. It's not just the date. It's the combination of date, mint mark, composition, and condition that creates true collector interest. It's also worth noting that the market for coins is driven by stories as much as numbers. Verified high-grade sales of the 1964 no-mint mark penny have fueled curiosity, and that attention often circulates quietly among seasoned collectors and dealers. This difference can completely change interest because coins with clear provenance and high grading tend to attract patient buyers willing to pay top dollar. So, what should you do if you think you have a 1964 penny with no mint mark? First, inspect its condition carefully. Look for wear, scratches, and any signs of corrosion. Then, compare it to certified examples to understand what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Remember, Rushed decisions or assumptions can undervalue coins that may actually have hidden financial potential. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Even slight differences in copper tone or strike clarity can dramatically affect desirability. Finally, don't underestimate the power of knowledge and patience. Understanding your coin's history, composition, and market trends is far more valuable than any quick sale. Carefully checking your pennies, comparing them with verified examples, and considering professional grading can uncover hidden opportunities, sometimes life-changing opportunities, that most people overlook. If you've enjoyed this deep dive, consider exploring other penny dates that collectors quietly treasure. Each coin tells a story, and with careful attention, your collection could reveal more than just memories. It could reveal quiet wealth discovery. The 1964 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is just one example, but it's a perfect reminder that true value often hides in plain sight, waiting for the patient and informed collector. If you've ever held a simple Lincoln penny in your hand, you might think of it as just 1 cent. But some pennies quietly hide a financial story that can surprise even seasoned collectors. Today, we're focusing on the 1968 Lincoln penny with the D-Mint mark. Certain verified examples of this coin have sold for unusually high prices, and the details that make them special are worth understanding before you check your own collection. 1968 was a transitional year in the United States. The world was changing, and the U.S. Mint was producing coins that now, over 50 years later, carry historical as well as collector interest. The D-Mint mark tells us this penny was struck in Denver. At first glance, it may seem like an ordinary coin, but subtle features and rare varieties can elevate its value far beyond face value. Here's where many people get confused. A 1968 D penny in circulated condition may only be worth a few cents or dollars. But a carefully preserved example, or one with a notable die variety, can attract serious collector attention. Differences in strike quality, minor die errors, or the state of preservation can completely change interest and potential value. Let's break it down. Most 1968 D pennies were struck in the standard copper composition, roughly 95% copper with the remainder mostly zinc. The coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But experienced collectors quietly watch for variations in the lettering, the positioning of the mint mark, and any double die features. These small details are what separate common examples from high-value ones. Another detail to consider is condition. This is where many people get tripped up. Even coins that appear uncirculated can have subtle scratches or discoloration that reduce collector interest. Certified coins, graded by trusted organizations, often command life-changing sale results for select examples. Meanwhile, coins with lower grades may still hold quiet financial potential if they have rare varieties or anomalies that collectors seek. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch: the appearance of the D-Mint mark itself. Some examples show slight variations or doubling that can significantly increase demand. These are the coins that can turn a casual discovery into a quiet wealth discovery. Even experienced owners sometimes overlook these small features, which is why patient research pays off. Many penny owners also make the mistake of rushing to sell. This difference can completely change interest. Coins sold without proper verification or grading may fetch far less than a similar coin that's professionally authenticated. Taking the time to inspect, research, and, if necessary, submit a coin for grading is often the key to uncovering hidden financial potential. It's also important to understand value ranges. For 1968 D pennies, circulated examples typically trade for a few dollars at most. Higher-grade, uncirculated examples may fetch tens or hundreds, depending on condition and collector interest. Rare die varieties or proof-like strikes can sometimes exceed those ranges, attracting serious bidding from specialized collectors. Patience, combined with careful observation, often produces unexpected income. Here's where many collectors hesitate. Spotting subtle variations without magnification or reference materials can be challenging, but even a careful glance can reveal whether a coin might warrant closer inspection. That simple act of checking your own collection could uncover an overlooked piece with hidden financial potential. Before you move on, remember this: knowledge and patience matter more than speed. Rushing to sell or ignoring small details often leaves value on the table. Carefully check your pennies, note any unusual marks or features, and consider professional grading if you suspect rarity. If you found this overview helpful, there's another video in this series that dives deeper into rare Lincoln penny varieties and their market trends. Taking the time to explore these coins piece by piece can transform how you view the pennies you've collected over the years. In the world of 1968 D Lincoln pennies, even a small discovery can reveal quiet wealth and hidden financial potential. So check your collection, stay curious, and remember, the difference between an ordinary coin and a life-changing find is often in the details. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that, decades ago, passed through thousands of wallets and cash registers. Yet today, in the right hands, could spark serious excitement among collectors. Some verified 1969 D Lincoln pennies have sold for prices that make casual collectors stop and take notice. Not every coin reaches these heights, but certain examples quietly hold financial potential few people ever expect. The 1969 Lincoln penny comes from an era of bold change in America. Vietnam was ongoing, space exploration was capturing imaginations, and everyday coins carried the face of Abraham Lincoln into millions of hands. Most pennies from this year are ordinary, circulated coins worth just their face value. But among them, some have features and mint marks that have made experts sit up and take notice. This is where many people get confused. The difference between a standard 1969 penny and one from the Denver Mint, the 1969 D. The D doesn't just tell you where it was made. For collectors, it can highlight varieties and subtle anomalies that drastically change interest in a coin. These pennies were struck in massive quantities, yet hidden differences mean certain examples have quietly developed collector appeal over the decades. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch: the quality of the strike. Some 1969 D pennies were struck with extra care, and a few even have small doubled features. When such features are verified, their market attention jumps. It's not the average penny you find in a drawer. It's the type that might prompt a life-changing sale result for select examples if it ends up in the hands of the right buyer. Collectors also pay attention to condition. Circulated coins, worn from decades of use, often stay in the low-value range. But high-grade, certified 1969 D pennies, especially those with sharp detail and original luster, can fetch surprisingly strong prices. This difference can completely change interest and is why patient collectors sometimes discover quiet wealth hiding in small, everyday coins. Mistakes are easy to make. Many owners unknowingly reduce the value of their pennies by cleaning them, bending them, or failing to notice subtle details that could make a difference. Here's where it gets interesting. Even a minor minting anomaly or die variety can turn a seemingly ordinary coin into a hidden financial opportunity. Let's talk varieties. Experts catalog a few small but significant differences in the 1969 D pennies. Double dies, repunched mint marks, and certain striking anomalies. Each of these details quietly shifts collector attention. While the vast majority of these pennies remain modestly valued, a few verified examples have sold for amounts that inspire curiosity and careful inspection. This is where many people get confused. Just having a D mint mark doesn't automatically mean a coin is high value. It's the combination of strike, variety, and condition that creates hidden financial potential. Collectors have learned to spot subtle doubling, strong luster, and sharp detail that the casual owner might completely overlook. That's why patient observation matters more than rushing to sell. Realistic value ranges very widely. A circulated 1969 D penny without any special features might be worth only a few cents over face value. High-grade, certified examples, especially those with minor anomalies, can attract offers far above what most people expect. It's the type of quiet wealth discovery that reminds collectors patience and knowledge often pay off more than speed. Here's another detail collectors quietly watch: provenance. Coins that have documented history, clear grading, and careful storage often command attention above similar examples. Sometimes, the right buyer sees the combination of condition, rarity, and documentation as enough to justify an unusually high price. Even seasoned collectors are often surprised at the unexpected income that comes from coins like these. It's not about flipping pennies overnight. It's about understanding subtle details, noticing differences others miss, and being patient for the right opportunity. Life-changing sale results for select examples don't happen to every coin, but when they do, they underscore the importance of knowing what you have. So, if you have a 1969 D Lincoln penny tucked away, take a careful look. Examine the strike, the luster, the mint mark, and any subtle variations. This is where many people get confused, but with attention, even a single coin can reveal hidden financial potential. And if you're curious about other pennies from this era, there are plenty more that hold similar intrigue. Watching and learning about these coins is the first step towards spotting rare varieties before anyone else does. Remember, knowledge and patience matter far more than rushing to sell. A single overlooked detail could be the key to a remarkable discovery. Take a moment today to check your collection. Look closely, compare carefully, and consider that even the smallest coin in your drawer might have quietly appreciated into something extraordinary. Imagine holding a small coin, no bigger than a fingernail, and realizing it might hold a story and a value that few people truly understand. The 1970 Lincoln penny with a D mint mark isn't just another piece of copper. Some verified examples of this coin have quietly sold for surprisingly high amounts at auctions and private sales. And while not every penny will reach those heights, the potential for what collectors call a quiet wealth discovery is very real. The story begins back in 1970, a time when America was navigating social change and economic uncertainty. The Lincoln cent, already a familiar presence in everyday life, continued its long tradition of honoring Abraham Lincoln. For collectors, the D mint mark on the 1970 penny, indicating it was minted in Denver, adds a specific identity that can impact its desirability. This is where many people get confused. Not every 1970 penny with a D mark is rare. The vast majority remain common, circulating coins. But the subtle details like striking errors, unusual die marks, or pristine condition are what separate an ordinary penny from one that can attract serious collector attention. One key factor is condition. Circulated examples, which have obvious wear and scratches, typically hold modest value. But uncirculated or certified coins, especially those with high grades, can dramatically increase interest. This difference can completely change buyer behavior. A penny that might seem ordinary to the casual eye could, in the right hands, become part of a life-changing sale result. For select examples, here's a detail collectors quietly watch: the exact shape and clarity of the D mint mark. In some coins, the mint mark appears slightly doubled or off-center, a subtle anomaly that can add significant intrigue among numismatists. These small variations are often missed by casual owners, yet they are the reason certain coins quietly climb in value over time. Collectors also focus on composition. By 1970, pennies were primarily made of copper with a small percentage of zinc. Any deviation, whether through experimental strikes, unusual alloy blends, or striking errors, can elevate a coin from a simple keepsake to a sought-after collectible. This is where patience plays a major role. Many owners overlook pennies in their wallets, jars, or old collections. Yet those who carefully examine each coin and research mint mark varieties sometimes uncover hidden financial potential. It's not about rushing to sell, but about understanding what makes a coin desirable to informed collectors. Value ranges for the 1970 D penny vary widely. Common circulated examples usually trade for only a few cents or $1. Uncirculated coins graded by professional services may range from tens to hundreds of dollars. And coins with rare die variations or pristine surfaces have, in verified cases, achieved prices far beyond typical expectations. Mistakes in handling, cleaning, or misidentifying coins can sharply reduce value. Another reason why knowledge is more important than speed. Here's another point that surprises many. Even within certified coins, the exact grading can influence interest dramatically. Coins graded slightly lower than top tier may sell for a fraction of their higher graded counterparts, even if they appear almost identical. This subtle difference can completely change interest among serious buyers. Collectors also advise paying attention to provenance. Coins with documented histories, from reputable auctions or collections, often command higher attention. Provenance offers credibility and reassurance that the coin is authentic, increasing the chance of realizing unexpected income when the market aligns. This is where many people get confused again. owning a 1970 penny doesn't automatically translate to wealth. But recognizing which examples carry subtle anomalies, pristine condition, or historical significance is what separates the ordinary from coins that can quietly unlock financial potential. As we wrap up, consider your own collection. Take a careful look at the pennies you've kept over the years. A 1970 Lincoln cent may seem ordinary at first glance, but with knowledge, patience, and careful examination, it could be part of a quiet wealth discovery that you never expected. And if you're intrigued by how tiny coins can hold such hidden value, check out our next video on rare Lincoln pennies with unique mint mark variations. Understanding these details, combined with patience and careful research, often matters far more than rushing to sell or guessing about market trends. Your next coin could be more than a relic. It could be a story waiting to be discovered, a quiet treasure with the potential to surprise even the most experienced collectors. Have you ever held a coin in your hand and wondered if it might be worth far more than its face value? Today, we're looking at one of those coins, an unassuming 1971 Abraham Lincoln penny, with no mint mark. While most pennies from this era barely catch a collector's eye, some verified examples of this particular coin have quietly changed hands for prices that make even seasoned collectors stop and take notice. This isn't about hype. It's about the rare instances where knowledge, patience, and a careful eye can reveal hidden financial potential. Let's start with the basics. The 1971 Lincoln penny was struck during a period of transition for the U.S. Mint. Lincoln pennies by this time had already been produced for decades, but the early 70s were still an interesting era. Most 1971 pennies you'll find were minted in Philadelphia, with no mint mark, and contain the familiar copper composition that had defined the cent for generations. But here's the detail collectors quietly watch. Small differences in the strike, subtle variations in metal composition, and how sharply the date is impressed can completely change collector interest. This is where many people get confused. On the surface, every 1971 no-mint mark penny looks almost identical. Yet, among thousands in circulation, only a tiny fraction show the characteristics that make them desirable to collectors. These can include sharper reliefs, unusually clean surfaces, or rare errors made during the minting process. Even a small scratch or discoloration can drastically reduce what someone is willing to pay, which is why careful handling matters more than most owners realize. Here's another point collectors quietly watch: the difference between circulated and certified examples. A penny that has been kept in pristine condition, perhaps in a collection for decades, can be dramatically more valuable than one that spent years in a wallet or jar. And while we're not talking about a guaranteed life-changing sale for every coin, select examples have achieved quiet wealth discovery for those patient enough to research and wait. Now let's break down what makes this 1971 penny particularly interesting. No mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia, which produced the majority of coins that year. That also means it's far more common than some other dates, but rarity isn't the only factor. Errors, double dies, and exceptionally sharp strikes can push certain coins far above the typical market. This difference can completely change interest from casual buyers to serious collectors willing to pay premium prices. Another mistake many owners make is assuming every 1971 penny is equally common. Even experienced collectors often overlook small variations in the lettering, the positioning of Lincoln's profile, or minor doubling on the date. These subtle traits can add hidden financial potential without the coin ever leaving your personal collection. It's also why patient sellers sometimes discover unexpected income when they decide to have a coin professionally graded and listed. Let's talk numbers, but with a realistic perspective. Most circulated 1971 no-mint mark pennies are worth just a few cents above face value. However, carefully preserved examples, particularly those showing minting anomalies or in uncirculated condition, have sold for hundreds or even low thousands in certified auctions. These are not everyday sales, but they are the type of life-changing results that draw collectors back to the same coin year after year. This is where many people get confused again. Condition is everything. Two coins with the same date and no mint mark can have dramatically different values simply because one shows light while the other remains nearly flawless. And grading isn't just for display. It provides credible evidence of quality that serious buyers rely on, which directly affects the coin's market potential. As we approach the final point, Remember that knowledge and patience are key. A casual glance at a jar of pennies won't reveal their secrets. Careful inspection, possibly under magnification, and understanding the nuances of minting errors, strike quality, and preservation can reveal coins with unexpected potential. It's not about rushing. It's about observing, learning, and letting time work in your favor. So, if you have a 1971 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, take a moment to examine it closely. Look at the date, the relief, and any signs of unusual features. And if it's in unusually good condition, consider having it evaluated. Even if your coin doesn't match the rare examples that have sold for extraordinary prices, simply understanding what makes these coins valuable gives you an advantage few others have. Before you go, take a look at our next video covering another fascinating Lincoln penny from the early 1970s. Each coin has its own story, and the more you know, the more opportunity there is to uncover hidden financial potential. Remember, this isn't about rushing or speculation. It's about careful observation, informed decisions, and appreciating the quiet wealth that coins like this have held for decades. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that was once just ordinary pocket change. But today, some verified examples of this very coin have quietly sold for life-changing amounts. The 1973 Lincoln penny, particularly the ones with no mint mark, has become a point of fascination for collectors, and the reasons might surprise you. At first glance, it seems like just another penny struck over 50 years ago. But for serious collectors, this date holds layers of hidden financial potential. It's not about luck or guessing, it's about knowledge, detail, and a patient eye. The 1973 penny was minted during a period of transition. The United States was navigating a changing economy, and coin production reflected that. Pennies from this era were made primarily from a copper-based alloy, a detail that becomes crucial for collectors when determining value. While millions of 1973 pennies were produced, a small number of no-mint mark examples exist, and these are the ones that quietly attract attention. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch: mint marks. The absence of a mint mark doesn't automatically make a penny rare, but it signals something specific. In 1973, no mint mark typically indicates a Philadelphia mint strike. While the vast majority are common, subtle variations in striking and wear can completely change interest among buyers. Even tiny differences in the coin's surface, like doubled dies or small planchet errors, can elevate a common penny into a collectible with serious market curiosity. This is where many people get confused. Owning a 1973 penny without a mint mark does not automatically place it in a millionaire's portfolio, but some select examples have fetched thousands of dollars in the right conditions. The key is understanding what separates those high-value coins from the ones still worth just a few cents. Condition matters. Grading matters. Even minor scratches, cleaning, or environmental damage can dramatically reduce what a coin might command. Collectors also watch for composition. While most 1973 pennies were copper, variations in alloy or accidental errors during striking can create what the market considers high-interest coins. These examples are not just rare, they carry a history and story that collectors pay for. This difference can completely change interest when buyers are evaluating which coins are worth spending serious money on. Mistakes owners make are surprisingly common. Cleaning a penny, trying to polish it, or even storing it improperly can diminish its quiet wealth discovery potential. Many seasoned collectors advise leaving coins in their original state, carefully documenting any provenance, and seeking professional certification before making big sales. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Certified coins from professional grading services can sometimes sell for double or even triple the value of an identical coin that remains unverified. Patience is often the biggest factor. Some sellers stumble upon unexpected income not by rushing, but by carefully inspecting old collections, comparing subtle variations, and learning which features matter. It's not about speed, it's about expertise. Even pennies sitting unnoticed in jars or drawers can become keys to a hidden financial potential for those who know where to look. Realistic value ranges vary. A common circulated 1973 no-mint mark penny might be worth just a few cents, or a few dollars if it's in unusually fine condition. But certified, exceptionally preserved examples, particularly with rare striking anomalies, have quietly moved for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Life-changing sale results for select examples are rare, but they do exist, and they reward collectors who invest in knowledge rather than chasing trends. This is where many people get confused. Not every 1973 penny is the same. The coin's history, minting characteristics, and condition all matter. Understanding these differences is what separates casual owners from those who occasionally uncover true collector treasures. So, if you own pennies from the early 1970s, take a careful look. Examine each coin under light. Note the presence or absence of mint marks. Check for unusual wear, and consider having select examples professionally graded. Even a coin you assumed was ordinary could reveal hidden financial potential. Before you rush to sell, remember this: knowledge and patience almost always outperform speed. The 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a story, a small piece of history, and for a few select examples, a gateway to quiet wealth discovery. And if you want to continue exploring coins with similar hidden value, check out our next video on rare 1970s pennies that have quietly sold for extraordinary prices. Your collection may hold surprises, but only careful observation and informed decisions can unlock their true potential. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that was made nearly 50 years ago, a coin that quietly circulated through pockets, purses, and cash registers, yet could hold a surprising story for the right collector. Today, we're focusing on a 1975 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. Some verified examples of this coin have sold for prices that make ordinary pennies seem extraordinary. And while not every 1975 D penny will turn into a collector's jackpot, there's hidden financial potential that many owners overlook. The 1975 Lincoln penny was minted during a period of subtle changes in the United States. The nation was emerging from a challenging decade, and the penny itself had a familiar face: Abraham Lincoln on the front, his legacy on full display. The D mint mark tells us it was struck in Denver, distinguishing it from its Philadelphia siblings. But here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Even within Denver-minted coins, small differences in strike quality, die wear, and luster can completely change interest. This is where many people get confused. At first glance, a 1975 D penny may seem like just another coin in a jar. But seasoned collectors know that examining the details, tiny die errors, doubled letters, or unusually sharp relief, can separate a standard coin from one with life-changing sale results for select examples. Collectors still focus on this date because it sits at the intersection of accessibility and rarity. Most circulated 1975 D pennies are common, but high-grade, well-preserved examples, especially those with unique die variations, quietly fetch higher prices. And here's another key factor: coins that spent decades in a protective roll or tucked away in a collection often display that subtle brilliance that brings attention from serious buyers. The composition of the 1975 D penny is straightforward, mostly copper with a small amount of tin and zinc. But variations in color and finish can influence value. Bright, original red pennies are especially sought after because the color tells a story about preservation and care. This difference can completely change interest when a collector is browsing through hundreds of similar dates. Realistic values for this coin vary widely. A circulated 1975 D penny in average condition might be worth a few cents to a few dollars. But coins in uncirculated condition, graded and certified by a trusted service, can sell for significantly more. Rare die errors or unusual minting anomalies can push certain examples into life-changing sale territory. And here's a tip many owners miss: even coins tucked away in a dusty coin album may be hiding quiet wealth discovery opportunities. One common mistake collectors and casual holders make is assuming that every D mint mark automatically adds value. The truth is subtle. The coin's condition, strike quality, and even the paper trail from certification matter far more than just the mint mark. Some owners have held coins for decades without realizing they could be sitting on an unexpected income source. Let's talk about high-value varieties. Some 1975 D pennies display double die letters, which occur when the die imprints the design slightly more than once. These errors are rare and sought after. And while they're not guaranteed to make a coin sell for a fortune, they do create moments of serious collector interest. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. The presence of any minting anomaly, even small, can trigger deeper inspection and significantly higher offers. Patience is another factor. Many successful sales occur because the seller waited for the right buyer. This isn't a race. Understanding the coin, monitoring collector trends, and verifying condition can sometimes reveal hidden financial potential that wasn't apparent years earlier. Before you rush to check your collection, remember, knowledge matters more than speed. Examine your pennies carefully. Look for unusual luster, die varieties, or mint marks you might have overlooked. Compare them with verified examples and consider professional grading if you suspect something unique. If you own a 1975 D Lincoln penny, it might seem ordinary. But with careful attention and patience, it could become an unexpected highlight of your collection. Take your time, study the details, and keep your eyes open for life-changing sale results that happen quietly for select coins. And if you want to explore more hidden opportunities in Lincoln pennies, consider watching our next video on rare 1974 and 1976 varieties, coins that often surprise collectors with their quiet market demand. Remember, understanding and patience can unlock value far beyond the casual glance. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that thousands of Americans passed by for decades, only to discover years later that some verified examples have quietly sold for life-changing amounts. The 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny with a Denver mint mark is one of those coins that sparks curiosity among collectors and investors alike. Today, we're going to explore what makes this seemingly ordinary penny so intriguing, and why certain examples have created quiet financial potential for those who looked closely. The year 1976 marked a moment in American history, not only for the nation's bicentennial celebrations but also for the coins that circulated that year. Lincoln pennies were well established by this point, but the subtle details on specific mint-marked coins started to draw attention from collectors. The Denver Mint, identified by a small D on the coin, produced millions of these pennies, but not all of them are created equal. This is where many people get confused. To the untrained eye, a 1976 D penny might look like any other coin in your pocket, but collectors quietly watch for subtle differences that can completely change interest. Small variations in strike, planchet composition, or die errors are what separate a typical circulated penny from one that commands attention in auctions or private sales. For example, the composition of the 1976 penny is primarily copper, but collectors are always alert for coins that show unusual color, weight, or metal consistency. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Some coins may have doubled die obverse features, slight die cracks, or off-center strikes. These imperfections might seem minor, but for the discerning buyer, they represent the difference between a common penny and a rare collectible that has sold for surprisingly high prices. Value ranges for the 1976 D penny vary widely. A typical circulated example might be worth a few cents to $1. But higher-grade coins, especially those certified by professional grading services, can enter a quiet wealth discovery zone, with prices climbing significantly depending on condition and rarity. Some certified examples have even reached figures that surprise owners who had held them for decades. This difference can completely change interest among collectors. Coins that seem unremarkable in a drawer can suddenly be sought-after items when the right characteristics are verified. And this is where patient sellers sometimes discover unexpected income. They take the time to carefully assess their coins, comparing details, grades, and historical sales records before listing them. Mistakes often reduce value. Many owners assume all old pennies are worth something special and rush to sell without proper verification. Scratches, improper cleaning, or failure to recognize mint errors can all lower a coin's market potential. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Preserving original surfaces and avoiding harsh cleaning methods is crucial. Coins that have been altered or damaged rarely fetch significant prices, even if they come from sought-after years. Collectors also focus heavily on certification. Having a coin professionally graded can transform an ordinary penny into an item that serious buyers notice immediately. This process might reveal hidden financial potential that was invisible to the naked eye. Life-changing sale results have occurred for select examples, but only after careful verification and patient timing. Returning to the 1976 D penny, it's important to remember that the Denver Mint produced millions, making it far from the rarest Lincoln penny ever. Yet, within this vast production run, certain varieties stand out. Small die differences, off-center strikes, or unusual toning can create quietly significant value. For collectors, these subtle distinctions are where the magic happens. This is where many people get confused. Just because a coin is old doesn't automatically make it valuable. But understanding its mint mark, condition, and potential errors allows collectors to separate the truly interesting examples from the everyday ones. By studying past sales, auction records, and certified coin databases, a penny that seemed ordinary may suddenly reveal hidden financial potential. So, what should you do if you find a 1976 D penny among your collection? First, examine the mint mark carefully. Look at the coin's surface for unusual toning or imperfections. Compare it with verified auction records to see if any known varieties match your coin. And most importantly, be patient. Rushing to sell without understanding the coin's characteristics often results in leaving potential value on the table. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Even coins that have circulated extensively can still hold surprises. Certain examples with minor die anomalies or exceptional color can outperform expectations. Life-changing sale results are rare, but when they occur, they're almost always the product of careful research, attention to detail, and patience. In conclusion, the 1976 D Lincoln penny is a coin that teaches us a valuable lesson. Ordinary-looking items can hide extraordinary possibilities. Knowledge, verification, and patience matter far more than speed. If you have old pennies at home, take the time to examine them closely. You never know which coin might hold quiet wealth discovery potential. And to continue your exploration, consider watching our next video where we break down other Lincoln pennies that have surprised collectors with their hidden value. Remember, the journey of collecting is about curiosity, attention to detail, and understanding history as much as it is about potential financial reward. The 1976 D Lincoln penny might seem modest at first glance, but for those who look carefully, it can reveal fascinating stories and occasionally unexpected opportunity. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, one that millions of people passed over, yet some rare examples have quietly fetched astonishing prices at auctions. Today, we're looking at a 1978 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark, a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but in the right condition, it has captured the attention of serious collectors. This is where many people get confused because while millions of these pennies were made, only a select few have the features that can spark life-changing sale results for the right owner. The 1978 Lincoln penny comes from an era of transition. The United States Mint was producing billions of pennies each year, yet subtle differences in die, strike quality, and mint location created hidden financial potential that only a trained eye can spot. The D mint mark identifies coins struck in Denver, and while most circulate as everyday change, collectors are on the lookout for specific examples that stand out in appearance and condition. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. The difference between a typical circulated penny and one that's near perfect. Even slight wear can drastically reduce a coin's market value. A 1978 D penny in well-preserved condition, with sharp details on Lincoln's profile and clear lettering, can attract more attention than dozens of average coins combined. The composition of the coin also plays a role. By 1978, pennies were primarily made of a copper-plated zinc blend. While this seems standard, collectors sometimes search for anomalies, striking errors, double dies, or unusual toning. These differences can completely change interest and have led to quiet wealth discoveries for those who noticed them decades after the coin was first minted. Collectors and buyers still focus on this date because of the combination of rarity, condition, and subtle die variations. For example, some coins may have doubled letters on the obverse or minor deviations in the mint mark itself. These are the types of details that serious collectors quietly track, and they can turn an ordinary penny into a piece that commands a significant premium. Let's talk numbers realistically. Most circulated 1978 D pennies might be worth just a few cents above face value. But certified coins, graded at the highest levels, have sold for hundreds, and in rare cases, low thousands. This isn't about hype, it's about the real-world outcomes for select examples, where patient sellers discovered unexpected income by understanding what makes these pennies special. This is where many people make mistakes. They assume every penny from a particular year has equal value. Condition, grading, and tiny anomalies are everything. Even small scratches, cleaning marks, or uneven color can reduce value dramatically. Conversely, holding onto a coin and having it professionally evaluated can uncover hidden financial potential you might otherwise overlook. Collectors also pay close attention to provenance. Coins that come from original rolls or known collections can carry additional credibility, increasing buyer confidence and sometimes nudging prices higher. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Provenance and certification often matter as much as condition itself, especially for coins from the late 1970s. If you have a 1978 D Lincoln penny tucked away in a drawer, don't rush to spend it or dismiss it. Carefully examine the coin for sharpness, mint mark clarity, and any unusual features. Professional grading can reveal value that is not obvious at first glance, turning an ordinary coin into a quiet wealth discovery. This difference can completely change interest among buyers. Coins that appear unremarkable at first glance can end up generating unexpected attention, and in the world of numismatics, patience often matters more than speed. Every detail, from Lincoln's cheek contour to the alignment of the mint mark, can influence market perception and, ultimately, realized value. Remember, knowledge is your greatest asset. Understanding the 1978 D penny, learning about condition, anomalies, and grading, and exercising patience can mean the difference between a simple pocket change and a remarkable collector's piece. Carefully checking your own pennies and staying informed is the only way to truly uncover potential. If you want to dive deeper, there are other pennies from this era with unique mint mark differences and subtle variations that collectors quietly track. Watching another related penny video can expand your insight and help you spot more hidden opportunities to eye in the end. The 1978 D Lincoln penny reminds us that even the most common coins may hold extraordinary possibilities for those willing to look closely, study patiently, and make informed decisions.